Look, all I'm saying is nothing I did, being an assertive journalist, was untoward, unreasonable, or over any line, okay?
I didn't, and
I'm just saying, don't abuse the messenger as the journalist here, just because I caught your office doing bad things, okay? Since you did get a hold of her, can you call her back up and ask her about that? Now all of a sudden when I catch the office of the governor doing the bad things they shouldn't be doing, now all of a sudden everything's going to be done to the letter of the law. I don't understand what your job here is.
my job is to really just talk to folks who are bothering the employees and stopping them from doing their
Well, okay,
job.
hold on. You're going to follow the law? Yeah, okay. Like I said, if I could just pass a recommendation off to Governor Inslee on his departure and Governor Ferguson on his way in, maybe you guys could stop breaking the law for 34 years.
If you were
You
a
need to stay in your lane
legitimate
and not interrupt. I don't know how your parents raised you, but interrupting is rude. So from now on, I'd ask you just have a little bit more social awareness and not interrupt when you're doing that. Well, if the office of the governor is going to do things the letter of the law, could you not violate the law for 34 years? Maybe we could start there. Hey everyone, I am free. It is November 20th, 2024. I'm in the city of Olympia here at the Capitol, getting ready to go inside the Capitol Rotunda itself to go to the governor's office right across the way. You can see the Temple of Justice. It's almost completed in its refurbishment. I'm going in to the governor's office to inspect their records index, which they do not have. Back in 1973, the governor exempted himself and the governor's office from having to have a records index. Now, as you guys know, state agencies are not allowed to exempt themselves. However, in Administrative Code Title 240, Chapter 6, Section 130, he specifically did back then, which is unlawful. They have no ability to do that. The current code, which is found in 425670 subsection 5 for state agency, says they must have it, and the current code as of 2005 doesn't allow for exemption. So we're going to go on inside and look into that, get the explanation, and then go file an audit for fraud against the governor's office over at the state auditor's office, which is right over in that building right there. Hello.
How are you?
Oh, not too bad. How are you doing today? Good. I am here to inspect the public records index for the office of the governor.
Give me 2 seconds to get on the phone call. I want to see if someone can come up.
Sure, you bet.
So I can take this call. Okay?
Yeah, thanks.
Hello.
Hello.
That's how you get a call back from the governor's office. How can I help you?
I'm here to inspect the public records index for the office of the governor.
That is unfortunately something that we don't do. But like I said, I'll go ahead and
What's that?
this is you. Sorry. There. That's the information that we had about public disclosure records. For our
Oh,
office.
yeah. No, I think we're... Yeah. No, we're having a little bit of a misunderstanding here. Here, I'll tell you exactly what I'm looking for here. It says each state agency shall, by rule, establish and implement a system of indexing for all records issued before July 1st, 1990, final orders entered after June 30th, 1990, declaratory orders, interpretive statements, and policy statements. So I'm looking to inspect that. It's supposed to be created and maintained at all times so that it can be inspected during normal hours. It's not a records request. It's just something to be inspected. Good. I just wanted to clarify, in looking at the records index here, this doesn't appear to contain everything in subsections A through F of subsection 5. Is it fair to say as of right now that's Not something the governor possesses?
Not right now, no, sir.
Okay. In Title 240, Chapter 6, Section 130, it states that the governor has exempted himself from the records index per the governor in 1973. The awkward thing about that is that at an absolute minimum, the 2005 Public Records Act in subsection 5, I'm sure you probably just read it, says that the only agencies that can exempt themselves are local agencies. State agencies are never allowed to exempt themselves. Do you know why Governor Inslee has chosen to continue to not, or to continue to exempt himself from the Public Records Act for the index when he's not lawfully allowed to do so?
I can't speak to that, but I can get someone that can.
Sure, that'd be great. I can move some stuff around to make that happen, because like I said, it's probably gonna be more rigid on her end than it is on mine. So is there any way to get something like that to figure out what day she has free?
I don't think, not a screenshot of her calendar, but I can get some days. Is that okay?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's fine. Thanks.
And the dates that she's available.
Great, appreciate it.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, you have a good day.
You too.
Take care.
You too.
As you can see here, I did follow up with Catherine Leathers, General Counsel for Governor Jay Inslee. She declined to interview. I find this interesting because the General Counsel for the Washington State Treasurer, Devin Phelps, did have the courage to meet face-to-face for a hard interview. Though I ultimately ended up exposing the Washington State Treasurer for being out of compliance with the Public Records Act for 50 years, I applaud the transparency of the Treasurer to have the courage to have his legal counsel conduct that interview. Governor Inslee, on the other hand, most certainly understands the gravity of this problem, especially as the head of the executive branch. The governor's office likely does not want anything on the record, hoping they can get the Washington State Legislature to amend the state statute to provide some sort of an out for the abusive and anti-transparency position the office of the governor has taken for a half a century. I'll also be focusing on the office of the Code Reviser of Washington State to see if there's any efforts or attempts to secretly or off the radar amend the Washington Administrative Code, even though it's 50 years too late.
Hello.
How are you?
Good, how you doing?
Good, thank you.
Excellent.
What can we do for you today?
I came in on the 20th of November to inspect the records index, and it was not available, so I'm looking to see if I can inspect it now.
Okay, gotcha. And then, because I remember they gave you like days and times frames too to meet with our general counsel. Did you ever get back to that as well?
I did, and unfortunately, unlike the treasurer's legal counsel, the governor's legal counsel didn't want to be on the record, so she declined.
Okay. Okay. So our public records team did. Our public records team did go ahead and update it, but we also updated it with a whack because for some offices and state agencies and local agencies, they're excluded from having the whole entire thing.
Ooh.
Back in 1973, then Governor Evans signed into law the Public Records Act as found in RCW Title 42, Chapter 17. The Records Act back then had Section 260 as the Records Index section. However, all agencies were allowed to exempt themselves back then, to include state agencies. Importantly, this changed, as you can see, in the session laws of 1989. This change delineated between local and state agencies, providing a local agency the ability to exempt, but not a state agency. In 2005, the law was recodified from RCW 4217 to RCW 4256, but maintained the state agency requirement of creating and maintaining an index. But what does this all mean? Why is this rather boring sounding index so dang important, such that I've highlighted it almost exclusively on my channel and in stories over the last several months? The answer is, It's about transparency. I was able to go to the Washington State Healthcare Authority and retrieve the teleworking policy in about 10 minutes and did not have to submit a public records to do so. It was just simply available as required by statute.
And the governor's office is a part of that WAC.
That's completely not true, actually. This is from 1973. The law changed on July 1st, 1990. I have that actually right here. That's completely illegal. There's nothing lawful about that in any way, shape, or form. In fact, that's part of what I want to address is the current law in RCW 425670 subsection 5 wholesale denies any state agency of any variety or kind to exempt themselves. It's 100% unlawful.
Well,
So,
I can double check in with the public records officer, but she's not in the office today. She's solely on
well,
the
it's supposed to be inspectable because it's a created and maintained index, so it's not something that I make an appointment for. Any member of the public's supposed to be able to come in and just inspect
I
it.
understand that. I'm just saying that, like,
Sure.
she's the one who sets that all up for us, so I'm just reiterating everything that she
Yeah.
tells us.
Well, if the pro's not available, if I just like to speak to somebody else, then it's maybe above her. Because I do need to be able to inspect it. I'm here, and I don't want to keep getting inconvenienced because the governor doesn't want to comply with the law.
Okay, well, I mean, I can go ahead and I can double check, but I'm not too sure if there's going to be like anyone specific available to speak to, like in this very moment to come up. Because again,
Yeah, and I don't need to. Well, let me just ask you this. I mean, based on the fact that I'm being given this unlawful exemption, is the brass tacks that the governor just does not have an index to inspect?
Again, I don't have anything to do with public records, so that's something that I again have to ask the public
Okay,
records
'cause
officer and the public
What
records.
I'm being given is this. It says exemption from requirement to maintain a current records index. The clear implication there is that Governor Inslee, along with all the folk on the wall here in these oil paintings, have never produced and maintained a records index. Is that the implication, or is this just a
Again,
random?
I would not know because I don't oversee
Okay.
public records. I have nothing to do with public records in any way, shape, and or form.
Okay, yeah, if you could just get a manager for me, that'd be great.
The index?
Yeah, so what I'm being given here is an exemption. So this exemption is from 1973 when Governor Evans was still governor. Unfortunately, that's unlawful because the state legislature in 1989 updated the statute, and it delineates up here between a local agency and a state agency. All state agencies are required to have an index. There is no exemption. Now, in 1973, there was. So Governor Evans was correct in 1973 up through 1989. All governors then were allowed to exempt themselves from the records index. However, the current RCW in subsection 5, there is absolutely no exemption. And if you look at the exemption that the Office of the Governor just provided me a few minutes ago, that hasn't been updated since 1973. So the problem is when the legislature mandated the governor update and create and maintain an index, and as of July 1st, 1990, apparently the governor never did, and every governor since then hasn't. So if there is no index to inspect, I mean, it is what it is, but I need to know, because the only solution to that is to file a suit against the office of the governor to compel compliance by the courts. I mean, that's just the only option that there is.
I'm not saying whether there is or isn't because that's not my job, but let me go
Sure.
and check in. I just wanted some more background.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You bet.
What you're about to see, now that I've caught the governor flagrantly breaking the law, is a call for a Washington state trooper to attempt to intimidate me by his presence in light of the fact that I am pushing hard and proving the office of the governor is complicit in violating actively state law. Trooper Clarence Williams enters into the scene and off to the side presents his work cell phone number to the secretary. This is blatant intimidation tactics from the governor's office, utilizing and weaponizing the Washington State Patrol in an effort to get me out of that office as a journalist. Shady dealings with outgoing Jay Inslee, and likely even more shady dealings with incoming Governor-elect Ferguson.
didn't give my phone number. I didn't give him my phone number. So there you go. All right. Excuse me, miss. I do want to do a public records request for whatever that Washington State patrolman gave on that written notepad for a public record.
What was that?
What the state patrolman just gave were his phone number.
Yeah, just so that I can call in case I'm in danger or anything.
Yeah, I'd like to do a public records request for that.
So the public record, if you want to do like an official one, you have to do it on the governor's website.
No, you don't. 4414-03006 says you can do it in person and verbally. So I'm making a public records request to you as an employee for that. Now, I'm happy to just take a photo of it real quick if you want to do that.
So yeah, as far as I'm concerned, I can't like hand anything over to anyone. In order for me to give you anything, because I'm not a public records officer, so I can't just do that for you. Again, it has to go through the public records.
Okay. Well, I'm making the request to you as an employee.
Yeah, but again, because I'm just a receptionist, I don't do anything.
Are you a public employee?
Again, just because I'm a public employee doesn't mean I do. We'll just like.
How confident of that are you?
Just because of the asking. But again, it has to go through the public records.
How confident of that are you?
Again, I can't do anything right now. I'm trying to get you the information that you asked for prior.
Yeah, I'm just also submitting a public records request to you.
Well, can you like sit down?
Sure. Yeah, I can wait till you're done with that. Sure. Just want to make sure that doesn't go anywhere because I do want to request that.
This is the most current law stating that the governor's office is exempt, but in good faith we have provided this information for you.
Okay, that wasn't my question though.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm looking. You're saying this is the public records index?
That's what we're providing you because the governor's office is exempt from having to provide this.
What make? By the way, who are you?
What?
Who are you?
I'm a public records aide.
Oh, okay, great. What's your name?
Ashley Linder.
Ashley Linder, thanks. Okay, so I have a question for you then, Ashley. I appreciate you sharing that. You probably took note of this, but in case you didn't, I just want to indicate, if you notice at the bottom, that order for the exemption was done on August 31st, 1973, when Governor Evans was governor. And back then, I completely agree Governor Evans was within his lawful authority to do so. The reason being is because the statute back then did not delineate between a local agency and a state agency. It was just any agency can exempt itself if it's unduly burdensome. However, what I was pointing out to the lady over there a moment ago is the Washington State Legislature in the session laws from 1989 updated it and delineated between a local agency and a state agency, and made it clear that there is no exemption for a state agency at all. And in fact, in the current version of it, RCW 425670 made clear a local agency can exempt themselves, but a state agency shall produce, create, and maintain a records index for very specific things. Those are not those very specific things. So the brass tacks,
That I just handed you are not those very specific things.
they are definitely not.
Okay.
Yeah, the very specific things that are required that I'm seeking are all final orders entered after June 30th, 1990, that are issued in adjudicated proceedings regarding the Administrative Procedures Act, which is RCW 34, all declaratory orders, all interpretive statements, and all policy statements. So those are all required. Now, I just want to make sure, because obviously, if you don't have the index, you don't have the index, and the only way to solve this is to go, to court over this, and if that's where it has to go, that's fine. But the brass tacks is, I'm asking for the index as is defined here in RCW 425670.
425670?
Yeah. Oh, here you go. You can take a look at that if you like.
Yeah, awesome, thank you.
If the governor doesn't have it, the governor doesn't have it, but he is absolutely 100% required to have an index. There is no exemption for him.
Let me go make a really quick phone call.
Sure, thanks. Oh, and also, Ashley, that's completely untrue. If you look at the model rules and Administrative Code 44-14-03006, you can do it in person and verbally. I'm making a verbal public records request for that. All right, thanks. Oh, miss, I'll be right back if you could let that lady know. I just got to go get that trooper's name, so I'll be right back. Excuse me, trooper. Do you have a business card?
Pardon me?
Do you have a business card, trooper?
Let me see.
Because I remember the overhanging there.
Great. Thank you very much. You have a good day. All right, so that trooper that handed over the information for the phone number is Trooper Williams, badge 843, the Field Operations Bureau. So when the public records assistant gets back, I will make sure to get that exact number on that sticky note.
So unfortunately, our public records director did say that this does, the paper that I've already given you, does exempt our office because we're an office, not an agency.
Everyone, I am not actually utilizing hyperbole here. In 2 years of actively working and publishing stories, I have never heard such a ridiculous statement. Ever. This statement is so bad, we're going to take a special trip down what I like to call the shame train track. Because every single employee, to include the governor, that is involved in this needs a seat on this train for being the most brazen liars I've personally ever run across. You could even see it in the smile of this employee when she knew what she was saying was absolutely untrue.
Because we're an office, not an agency.
Remember, the office of the governor is not an agency. It is an office, according to what that woman just said right there a moment ago. RCW 42.56.010, titled Definitions for the Public Records Act, defines an agency as the following. Subsection 1. Agency includes all state agencies and all local agencies. State agency includes every state office. J. Every state office. J. Department, division, bureau, board, commission, or other state agency. State office, you say? You mean like, the office of the governor? The governor of the state of Washington? You mean like that one? Huh. Folks, you cannot make this up. Governor Inslee and every single governor before him back to 1990 has been a part of this massive record scandal. This is the governor breaking the law and being flagrant about it. So flagrant, in fact, that Governor Inslee has maintained, not the index, but the exemption over 3 4-year terms in office. These employees and the governor have been caught red-handed lying to keep a valuable tool out of the hands of the citizens of Washington State. They do not want transparency.
But I'm happy to take your public records request.
I get it. I would never expect a lawyer to come.
This is her information, and you're welcome to call her with any further questions. Yeah. But I'm happy to take.
Is she available?
She's not in the office today.
Gotcha. Okay.
But she's available by phone. Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. Oh, is that I think that might have been. That is the lady I spoke with before last time when I was here on the 20th. Yeah, and I wouldn't expect anyone in the office of the governor to admit that they've done wrong. Usually most people don't accept when they've done wrong. That's fine. If that's the official stance of the governor of Washington State, so be it. I mean, there are mechanisms to resolve this. Looks like we're gonna have to go down that road. I would like to request from that blue sticky note, Trooper C. Williams, badge 843, the phone number that he wrote on there. I captured it on video. He handed it to that lady in the green sweater.
Okay.
So that's him. Preferably, as I'm sure you know, as a public records assistant or analyst, whichever one it is, that actually can be provided right now. If you guys want to be
The phone number?
Yeah. You guys can literally just say, yeah, here's that phone number.
I have to document it in our system.
Oh, sure. Absolutely. Yeah, no sweat. Hey, that takes some time and effort off your guys' part, so.
You just want...
Yeah, whatever's on that sticky note,
Okay.
that'd be great. Thank you. All right, so everyone that's watching, what Patricia Smith is arguing is that an office is not a state agency, that the office of the governor is not a state agency. That's completely not correct. If you look in RCW 42.56.080, it discusses what offices are, and then if you go to Section 10 of the Public Records Act, it defines what that offices are included in that. So to be clear, the governor is effectively using the most tortured version of defining what an office is that I've ever heard. So we'll see how that shakes out. But I think this is just obviously. Ma'am, I do have a quick question for you here. All right, great, yeah. So when you say it's not an agency, I just want to clarify because I don't want to put words in your mouth. Patricia Smith said this is an office, not an agency, right?
The office of the governor.
Okay. All right. Just want to make sure I understood. So,
Make sure I have your information.
yeah, if you could give me just a quick moment. In Section 10 of the Public Records Act, which I'm sure you're familiar with, it's the definition section. It says an agency or a state agency includes every state office, department, division, bureau, board, commission, or other state agency. Is it Patricia Smith in your position that the office of the governor is not a state office?
Well, I don't have a position.
You don't. Could you ask Patricia Smith before I leave today if the definition of a state office is not the office of the governor? Perhaps it's an arcade. I could be wrong.
I'm giving you her contact information that you can call and ask.
Yeah, I don't want to call and I can't audio record it.
Information so I can give you the public records request.
Yeah, the email address is inland, INLAND, auditing, AUDITING, media, at protonmail, PROTONMAIL.com. And my name's Steve.
You have a phone number, Steve?
I'm good with just the email address, that's fine. I don't want to give a last name. Yeah, I'm good. So to go back to that, since you did get a hold of her, can you call her back up and ask her about that?
So we've submitted your public records request for the sticky note. It will be processed in the order received. Tricia will be contacting you.
Gotcha. So I do have a customer service question. Why, when it is completely allowable, is it just because you guys the office has been caught seemingly committing a crime and you guys are now being rude? All you had to do is take a photocopy of that blue sticky note and hand it to me. It's completely allowed by the Public Records Act. You know that, and you're just being obstinate. Why are you being rude?
I don't think I'm being rude.
100% you are. You dang well know you can get me a copy of that public records.
Thank you so much. We've processed your request.
Well, then I'd like to talk to your manager. This is unbelievable that you're being this unreasonable and rude.
Thank you.
Can I talk to a manager, please? Or a supervisor? Ma'am, I'm asking for a supervisor, please. Thanks. All right. Unbelievable. Well, I do still have some issues. Who are you?
So, my name is Jean Calden. I'm the Director of Constituent Services for the Governor.
Oh, okay. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
I have a couple issues I'd like to get resolved if I can.
Okay.
One of them is the rude behavior of your public records staff really needs to get resolved. I attempted to get a copy of something which was a sticky note that a trooper came in and wrote his phone number down on to give to that lady over there. I did a public records request for that. I get it's completely lawful for the office of the governor to say, I'm going to use the process to go through it. It is also lawful for that employee to to just make a quick copy of it, hand it to me. It is obvious. I understand your office is upset that as a journalist, I have the evidence that has caught the office of the governor committing a crime, the office anyways, for 34 years. I know that's frustrating. I get it. And I understand that you guys are upset as an office that you're out of compliance and you've been caught and it's likely not going to turn out well for the office in court. But that being said, just because I'm doing my job as a journalist doesn't mean she needs to be officious and rude and abusive in the way that she did. All she had to do is take a photo of that, or a photocopy, and hand it back to me. Unbelievable that she's going out of her. She initially went to do it. It's not a state agency, that the office of the governor is not a state agency. That's completely not correct. If you look in RCW 42.56.080, it discusses, and then whoever she was talking to in the back told her to not. That is so rude.
I don't believe, I can't say for sure, but I don't believe that her position description includes providing that kind of information to the public. I'm Will Porter. I'm one of the public space folks here. I got a report that somebody was inhibiting the receptionists from doing their work. And I've definitely seen you before. It's good to see you again. Is there any way I could help you at all, or do you just need the photocopy?
I don't understand what your
document?
job here is.
My job is to really just talk to folks who are bothering the employees and stopping them from doing their
Well,
their
okay,
job.
hold on. I'm going to set this straight. I'm a journalist working on a story. I don't need security here, okay?
Of course.
Your interpretation of it's wrong. So what I need you to do is just go back to your job and leave me alone.
I understood.
All right, so ma'am, what I need is I just would like, I know I can't compel you. I understand it.
Not leaving the office, just letting you know.
What I would politely request is just to give me a copy of that. It doesn't,
And so I just consulted, and
Okay.
it sounds like that document first needed to be reviewed to make sure that it wasn't personal, exemptable information. And so we have to follow that process because we can't give you something that's exempt from the law.
when an in-uniform officer, or trooper rather, is writing something down as a public employee, handing it, and he says it's my phone number, my work phone number, and hands it on video audio recording from him to her, there is no exemption for that. It's a public writing. It's defined in the Public Records Act in Section 10. So it's really clear. Now, like I said, if she had said, hey, can you give me 10, 15, 20 minutes? I just got to make sure it's not exempt. Sure. But here's the thing. I had to ask her multiple times to just respond when I was saying, are you coming back? What are you going to do? And she's just walking away. I get it. Like I said, it's probably uncomfortable that the office has been caught doing something for 34 years that is unlawful, and now it's Governor Inslee getting caught doing it. I get it. It's not comfortable. Nobody likes that kind of a situation. But I shouldn't be having to be dealt with in a rude, officious way when all she had to do was do something very commonsensical like you said. Hey, give me 15, 20 minutes, whatever. I'll run it through, making sure it's not exempt. Fair enough. I get it. You know, those are reasonable things. And that's why a reasonable person like you came out and provided a reasonable comment, right? Instead of acting the way that she did. So that's all I'm looking for. I also do need to square away something where when I was talking with that lady earlier in the green sweater, she had stated that she doesn't accept public records requests. And I asked her if the public records staff were not here, would she accept it? And she said that's effectively a hypothetical and that it's not happening right now. So I'd like to know if public records staff aren't here, maybe they're sick or they're elsewhere, would staff other than the official public records staff accept a public records request?
Yeah, so we accept public records requests. I think there was just a miscommunication between that she doesn't fulfill it, is what she's saying to you.
Hey, miss, I'm going to lodge one more public records request for the teleworking policy.
I don't have anything to do with public records.
She's not a public records staff, so she's not saying she won't take your public records request. She's saying she's not the person to fulfill it.
I don't have anything to do with public records.
I appreciate that.
Like gathering the records for your request. But yes, we actually keep public records forms out here.
Yeah.
So that anyone can submit one.
Sure.
To anyone here at the desk.
Yeah.
And also if you just, if somebody were to come in and say they don't have the ability to fill out the form because they maybe can't read or write or maybe have a disability, we would do that on their behalf. So,
or if they're citing 4414-03006, which says you can do it verbally and in person.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's really any person, even a person who has decent literacy and whatnot can still do it. My whole point is, like I said, there's a lot of stuff that's been going on today. The initial meet was fine. And then once I made it evident with the evidence that I have that the office of the governor is completely out of compliance for the last 34 years, like I said, I get it. It's humiliating. It's unfortunate, and it's obviously something that I think appears to be criminal. And we'll resolve that through the courts. But just because I have this and that's what I'm working on doesn't mean staff needs to be rude the way she was. And in my opinion, she's being really rude. All she had to do, especially as a public records analyst, if you know this as the head of constituency affairs, she should know this as a public records analyst. All she had to do was say, give me a few minutes. So that's all I'm asking for in the future. Is she going to actually, is the office claiming that that is exempt?
My understanding. Oh, okay, so it's just going to still be processed according to. Okay, so they're processing the request now.
Okay. Is that something that can be done? Because I'll tell you what, I just conducted an interview with the Director of Legal Affairs over at the Treasurer's Office. Very nice, very polite, very helpful, very willing to provide documents on the spot. Now all of a sudden when I catch the office of the governor doing the bad things they shouldn't be doing, now all of a sudden everything's going to be done to the letter of the law. Well, if the office of the governor is going to do things to the letter of the law, could you not violate the law for 34 years? Maybe we could start there. I'm just saying, don't abuse the messenger as the journalist here, just because I caught your office doing bad things, okay? So when she's saying she's processing it, is she going to finish that processing now and be able to give me that number?
So my understanding is it's going through the regular process.
Gotcha.
Meaning that we have 5 days to respond.
So you guys are going to be petty.
I'm sorry?
So your office is going to be petty.
We're going to follow
The law. You're going to follow the law. Yeah, okay. Like I said, if I could just pass a recommendation off to Governor Inslee on his departure and Governor Ferguson on his way in, maybe you guys could stop breaking the law for 34 years as it relates to the Public Records Act and be more transparent. It makes journalists' jobs harder when you guys obfuscate and commit crimes. Just saying, just a recommendation. Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, so what do you need now?
That's it. No, I'm just here to make sure that, you know.
Look, I get the homeless guy came in here and he's talking loud or whatever thing. That's not me. I'm a journalist, okay? Just because I have to talk loud through a plexiglass window, it's apparently been built to stop a rocket-propelled grenade, doesn't mean that I'm being disorderly. So the implication that I'm being disorderly
I'm mostly dealing with bullies, man. That's not disorderly people.
Look, all I'm saying is nothing I did, being an assertive journalist, was untoward, unreasonable, or over any line. Okay.
I didn't call for WSP. If you had gone over the line, I would have.
The fact that you're here, the fact that you're here and even approached and attempted to get involved in this when you heard how I was talking, what I was doing, is unreasonable.
I couldn't tell if you were.
You need to stay in your lane and not interrupt. I don't know how your parents raised you, but interrupting is rude. So from now on, I'd ask you just have a little bit more social awareness and not interrupt when you're doing that. Okay?
Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, great. This is just the ridiculous abuse of attitude that the state has towards the public. I mean, literally, they could just copy it right there. It's not exempt. It's obvious. He said it's his work phone while in uniform, handing it to another public employee in the office of the governor. And then Patricia Smith attempting to argue that the office of the governor is not a state agency when it literally says that the office of the governor is a state agency in the definition. I mean, just unbelievably corrupt. Wow. I mean, not unbelievable with Governor Inslee. The man is an absolute career villain, but I mean, geez, to just not care at all and just put it forward like that is absolutely crazy. So that's it here today for this ongoing record saga with the state of Washington at the top of the pile at the office of the governor himself. So If you like my journalism, if you want to support it, please like, share, and subscribe. Hit that all notifications bell so you can get my stories right in release. You can follow me on X at I.A.M. Free Auditing, on Facebook at Inland Auditing Media. And if you want to help keep my feet on the streets, you know what to do. You can go to the links in the description for Cash App and Venmo. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys at the next location. Bye for now.